Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast for quilters who are building a business while juggling real life.
I'm Tori from Hey Tori, a quilter, past pattern designer and teacher, and now a digital marketing coach for quilting entrepreneurs.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts, long arm quilter, pattern designer, and quilting instructor.
Between the two of us, we've taught workshops, launched programs, joined summits, and stayed up way too late trying to finish one more quilt binding.
On this show, we're sharing what's worked and what hasn't in our interviews from incredible guests, everyone from quilting solo business owners to CEOs.
So if you're running a quilting or creative business or dreaming about starting one, you'll find real talk, honest strategies, and a whole lot of support here.
So grab your notebook, grab your pen, and let's dive into another episode of Quilting on the Side. Welcome back to another episode of Quilting on the Side. We are so thrilled when people reach out and say that they've gotten useful information. And so we want to definitely keep things real. We're recording this in the middle of November, so we are headed into probably the busiest time of year for people in general, with all of the holidays and, vacation time that you have to use up and wanting to enjoy time with family, that entrepreneurs especially can feel stretched very, very thin. But I know, Tori, you've spent a lot of time thinking about putting processes in place to perhaps make that a little bit easier. So what are your thoughts on this prepping ahead for busy holiday times?
Definitely. So we want you to be able to take time away from your business. Like me and Andy were just talking about it, how you need to be able to enjoy your time away from your business and make sure that you set everything up to where it can run on autopilot while you are hanging out, eating turkey, opening presents, and chilling with the people that you care about the most. So one thing I wanted to do was lead with the question, and that's the key word here, what needs to be consistent? So if you have dedicated your time to making sure you have a consistent newsletter, you want to make sure that you're able to schedule that ahead of time and to make it easy on you. So for me, I wrote down everything that I would need to be consistent, which is exactly what I'm doing at this time, is setting all this stuff up. But the first thing that I put was my email newsletter. So I send a newsletter out every other week. So every 2 weeks, we send a newsletter out on the 1st and the 15th. So I want to make sure that those are prepped and ready. I tend to put more current things in, like the personalized letter at the top of my newsletter, and then maybe down near the bottom if I come up with, if somebody else is having a cool special or I see something that my audience might really like, I'll make sure to input it before I send it. However, I can prep it. And so I have, because my newsletter has a personalized letter, it has a blog post that is going to help with this time of the season. It could be a new one, it could be an old one that I pulled from my library. Same thing with a podcast. I always have a podcast episode in there, whether it's Quilting on the Side or another one that maybe I guested on or found really, really interesting that I think my audience would really like. So I prep all of those parts so that it's easy for me to insert any new stuff and then send it. So all that's prepped. That's my number one, is my email newsletter. The next thing is I take care of my digital marketing members, my coaching program. So that's looking at the DMMC, the Digital Marketing Magic Coaching, DMMC, all of our live events that we do, scheduling those out so they work for everyone's calendar as much as we can during those holidays, so they still get that value. They still get the group coaching. They still get their social where we're reading together. We're having fun. Like in Halloween, we did a party, which was really fun. Making sure I get all that handled, scheduled, all the reminders up, which I actually get to send to my VA, who's amazing. So she sets up all those reminders that are like, hey, in 24, in an hour, we're going to do the whatever live event is coming. She sets those up. So I got to make sure those are covered. And then we also have a Facebook group where I send weekly posts out for them. It has information, inspiration, like that kind of thing. And then right now I'm committed to YouTube, which is at least a weekly video on digital marketing. And then I'm trying to sell 100 books by the end of 2026. So I'm working on those videos and getting that information out about how I'm doing the book club to help push sales during this time. And that will help me get to H&H and get a boost there. So that is all the stuff that I want to make sure is consistent during my main holidays, which are going to be like Thanksgiving and Christmas. I want to make sure that all of that is covered so I can just Oh, I mean, I won't be relaxing. I got 2 little kids, but, like, I'll be so busy that I don't wanna have to worry about my business while I am, like, hiding presents from my very curious 7-year-old and trying to figure out how to wrap them without him seeing things and, like, stuff like that. So that's what I would need to be consistent with. So, Andy, I would love to hear from your point of view as a quilting pattern designer and teacher. What comes to mind when I ask you what needs to be consistent just during the next or the last 2 months of 2025?
Yeah, looking at the end of the year as an it well, there's multiple aspects. Pattern design, you probably need to start earlier in the year to plan when you're gonna have releases and things available for your audience, and this is where you kind of have to just take that into consideration. People are not gonna be making as much. We all know there's the last minute sewing, we have those stories of, putting on a binding at, 8 PM on Christmas Eve so that the quilt can be opened on Christmas Day. Um, so there's that aspect of it, but people are not actively searching to start a new project, which is what you're trying to tap into with pattern design. So perhaps that aspect of your business becomes a treat. Like, you can enjoy the season and spend some creative time sketching out things that will come to fruition, in another season. But for classes, again, you probably want to be focused on really small projects, quick finishes so that people can, get that little creative hit and walk away with something useful that ties into the events going on around us. So, and that is gift giving. So
Yeah, that
things.
makes me think of, the ornaments,
Mhm.
um, ornament classes, table runners, um, those mug holders, or, like, I've seen a lot of growing of the what do you call 'em? Ice cream holders, not bowl cozies,
Yes.
but ice cream cozies for, like, Ben&
Yeah,
and
the
Jerry's
ice cream
type size.
cozies that are a little bit taller,
Yeah.
mug rugs, wine bags are a great
Oh,
hostess gift. So, yeah, a lot of those things can, um, be really popular at the holiday season. So focusing your classes around things like that. And just, be aware that classes may not fill up in December because people are busy with other family holidays and get togethers. Um, so, yeah, just being aware of what's on the calendar and
yeah.
managing expectations, I think, is a lot of it that, you have to be able to judge the audience readiness to take you up on your offer. So, just because you have this really cool design, if you offer it at the wrong time, then it's not going to go as far. And one of the things that we preach all the time is reflection and looking at your data. And so if you have been through a holiday season, take some time to look back at those numbers and see it, do some analysis, some self-reflection. Did I offer this at the wrong time? Was it too big a project for the season and people's time availability? How could I repackage it for a better experience, all around? And, maybe it's as simple as doing a mock-up in holiday colors of a pattern that you've already offered. So, lots of options there to get ready for the holidays.
We did go through that with the Black Friday episode a few
Mhm.
episodes ago, so I'll definitely link that below. So if you're interested on doing a sale, getting a class out there, getting a and we talked specifically about about Black Friday, but it can be an anytime sales thing. So go ahead and listen to that on sales. But Andy, I do want to hear, what do you think needs to be consistent in your business over the next couple months?
Just all the things that you've said, email newsletters, and that really is a feature that you can take an afternoon, an evening, some quiet time, um, draft them all out, whether you just keep them in whatever Word document, format, Google Docs, whatever, and then copy and paste them into your email system, or if you can actually save drafts in your email provider so that they're scheduled and ready to go out, as you said, that would take a lot off my plate and, make sure I'm showing up
Can
throughout
you not
the
do that?
season, and
Sorry,
having
hold on,
those
hold on, hold on, Andy. Can you not do that? Can you not save drafts in your email service provider?
I'm sure I can, I just haven't
Oh, okay.
taken the
You just
time
never done
to.
it? Okay, 'cause I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's what's so nice about having that is so that you can draft them all in there," and then okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, "Andy, if you can't do that, you need a new service provider." Like,
Right?
yeah,
And
that's gonna take so much off your plate.
yeah, and part of it is, you've just highlighted one thing, is taking a few extra minutes, maybe an extra hour to learn your system so that you can use all of its wonderful capabilities.
Yes.
So, yeah, it just, and I want to let people know that as a solopreneur, as someone working a side hustle, it's on the side. It's okay that it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the people that are doing this full time. And so that is something that we need to keep in mind throughout our lives, is that everybody's on their own journey. Comparing ourselves to whoever is doing more and making more money and having more success, that doesn't mean anything. So stick to the path you're on, figure out ways to grow at a pace that's comfortable and that fits your current circumstances is the best advice. But I'm straying far away from our primary topic of what needs to get done. Um, Scheduling and planning ahead for those YouTube videos, like you said, that's my bread and butter these days, is showing up on video, and I like to go live, so at least having my project list and things organized enough so that I can grab those materials and turn on the camera and have a live stream is, pre-planning is runs across all of the things.
Okay, so we've got email newsletters for sure. We've got prepping for YouTube videos and the project. I think that's really practical advice. Prepping the materials you need. So like you said, you can grab it and go. That way, if you need like that hour because your kids, well, and your kid's not home and you have an hour to wrap, you can wrap real quick and then grab your stuff and get online. Like
Yeah.
I always think about holiday prep because we have to cook, we have to like wrap presents, we have to like be sneaky about it too. Cause you don't want to spoil the surprise. So,
Right.
is there anything else that you're doing now that you would want to stay consistent with? We've got emails and we've got YouTube. Anything else?
Yeah, just like I said, the pattern design, um, I need to really set aside some time so that, my January, February, my 2026 plans actually can take flight. Is I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to, set aside that writing time for those projects. So,
So would you
yeah,
want
making
to
sure.
work on that now? And then that way it reaches into January. That way you can kind of take that time to actually do the more practical things. Like you have ideas going through, so you can put that on the back burner, enjoy your holidays, and then when it's January timeframe, jump into the more like practical stuff like landing pages and actually writing the curriculum or like all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, just it take and it's all, as I've said, it's planning. Take some time to think about when you want those things to happen and then back them up. So if there is some, writing time or some specific sewing time, whatever, that needs to happen in December, you can get that on the calendar. And as you were talking about all these different things, with our busy lives, with the busy holiday schedule, it reminded me of the story about filling your jar with rocks, and you always want to put in those big rocks first. So we talk about that on our quarterly planning, schedule out those family vacations and events. And, if you've got this work event that has to happen on this, then that time is blocked off and you're not inadvertently scheduling other things. So take a look at those year-end doctor appointments even to know when you will be away from home and not being able to work on your business. So,
Great price.
That's going to be key. And then once you've got those, then you can plug in, okay, I'm going to take this Saturday that I don't have other stuff going on. I'm going to spend half the day on family holiday prep and half the day on business prep. So,
And when she's talking about quarterly planning, that's with our Patreon community. So whenever you're in our Patreon at the $15 or no, free, it's anyone for the quarterly planning. We offer it to anyone free or paid within Patreon to come in for quarterly planning. So we help you with planning out your quarter, your next 3 months. And we do
yeah.
that every 3 months.
Okay. So as you can see, Tori, I'm just kind of taking this whole season and embracing it's a pause in my business because times are slow. But what if I wanted to dive in? I've got a lot of products that I could, you know, all of a sudden flash sale holiday time, we're seeing everybody have sales and make offers. So what are some things I could do specifically to, if I wanted to have a big holiday promotion about my rectangle stuff?
I love that. Okay. So if you're like me and maybe Andy, who jump in at the last minute and say, I'm going to do a sale, this is what I would suggest. And if you did listen to our Black Friday episode and you've already planned a sale, I have a little checklist for you to go through and see if you've got all these things in place. But the reason I'm going to go over these is so that you can step away. You can let the sale run and you can step away and you just get those chimes coming in like, oh, this one sold, this hopefully. That's what we're hoping for. Okay, so first I would create your copy, your sale language. So is this a pre-holiday sale? Is this a end of 2025 sale? What is this sale for? So your sales language and why you are doing this sale. So is this for a customer appreciation? You're getting 50% off my entire shop because it's the holidays and I feel like it. Are you doing this bundle because you're launching a really cool block of the month in January and these two classes that you're bundling together are going to set you up for success for that pattern. So why are you doing this and why now? That's kind of like your sales language. And there's more bits and pieces you can work out, but those are like the two main ones. You want to come up with a fun name and a fun reason. Fun reason. Sorry if I didn't say that clearly. Fun reason. Okay. And then I would set up a few things to keep it hands off, but create some natural urgency. So a banner on your site. So that is something that's just like this big line, usually in a bold color. So something on brand, but something that kind of stands out. That's like, this is the mine is a pre-holiday sale. I got pre-holiday sale going on where you can get, I'm calling it the workshop accelerator. So it's getting everybody ready for the book club in January is what it's doing. So I got this big, I think I did it candy cane red.
Mhm.
So I did like candy cane red. I've got this. The next one is so the banner candy cane red. Get this now, and then I would put a pop up. So usually when I speak to entrepreneurs in the quilting industry, we typically have a pop up for a lead magnet. Take that one down and replace it with your sale and try to keep it on theme. So with mine, I'm like candy cane. So I've got this candy cane raining
Mhm.
down behind my little sale thing on my pop-up. So it's a really cute like candy cane thing. And honestly, that's what started it. I went to see what was already created on the back end of my site. You know that they have those templates.
Mhm.
So one was raining candy canes and I'm like, that's perfect. Use that, set it up nice and easy and simple. And then what I would do, so you've got your banner on your homepage. Let's say that's where you put it, or you can put it in your header or your footer. Probably header is where I would actually put it as header.
Mhm.
So it's on every single page. But you got your banner, you've got a pop up, and then I would take that sale language that you made and create a landing page just for that offer. Or if you can make it an easy like add-on to a landing page, you
Mhm.
can do that as well. Make sure it's like this is for the sale. This block right here, it's candy canes. This is the holiday sale block. And then I can just remove that at the end of the sale. And then I would take your sale language and create a few emails just for that sale. Then I would create a few social posts using the same language just for that sale. And then I would look out in our collaboration opportunities. So like in the Patreon community, we're about to have we have in December a live
The
question and answer. I almost forgot the name. A live question and answer. You can bring your sale and be like, hey, is anybody putting sales in their newsletter this season? I would love to put my sale in your newsletter if you have a space for that. And then also keep your eye out for other people's sales that you think your audience will love. So those are two ways to make it easier and to focus on your sale. That way, the sale just runs after you schedule the email, schedule the post, and you can just chill And again, just look for those notifications. How does that sound for you, Andy?
Yeah, that definitely sounds doable. I can get something eye-catching up on my website. I can change the pop-out ad to, you know, be on message and, yeah, schedule a few more emails. I always love collaborating, so that was a great idea. And you know, that I'm always looking for content, and working with other people is a great way to, uh, collaborate and to give both parties some new content, is to say, "Hey, meet my friend." And they can take it away, and that, takes some of the heavy lift off of, your plate. Um, let's pivot a little bit, and because I'm starting to have some brainstorms around long form content and blog posts, and whether it's blog posts or YouTube videos or sharing on
Yeah.
Instagram, you know, whatever you can, work it out. But, um, what are some year-end content ideas that you can feature on long form content? Get those scheduled ahead.
Well, it depends on what you're
So I'm moving away from sales, and, c
yeah, yeah,
because I'm thinking of things like, you know, year-end recaps are gonna be all over the place on, you know, YouTube. Instagram had that top 9 thing that goes around all the time. You know, if you can get ahead on some of these trendy, on topic content ideas, it just makes the season flow a little more smoothly because you have planned ahead, which seems to be our whole theme with business.
definitely. Now, if you are doing a sale though, I wouldn't put the energy into that. I would put the energy into what long form content can I create to push people toward the sale? It's okay to repeat yourself a lot during this time because there's a lot of noise right now, and especially in the end of November and the beginning of December, there's going to be a lot of noise. So if you posted 7 times about one sale, your audience is hardly going to see it. Like, so make sure that you are sharing it. And I would write a few blog posts that push people towards what your sale is. Even if it's a sale on my entire shop, you can go through, like Andy said, and do like a reflection on in 2025, I launched these 2 patterns, or these 5 patterns, or this one wonderful, in depth, gorgeous pattern. And it is now 15% off. And talk about your story, your why, the inspiration. Fill out an entire blog post. And that can be a way to get more eyes on your content. It also helps search engines.
Yeah, and
Search engines find your stuff.
I love that when you're talking about, um, ways to support your sale, is you don't just beat someone over the head with, "Hey, I put a discount out there, take it, you know, take advantage," but telling those stories. "I
Yes,
created this pattern because, and oh, by the way, it's on sale," or, you know, "I wondered what this pattern would look like in a new colorway, and by the way, it's on sale." So, you know, I really appreciate that, being able to highlight one topic in multiple different ways, and that way, you're not as repetitive with your messaging.
that makes me think of if you're doing an entire shop sale, because I know a lot of pattern designers will just put their shop on sale. You can do a pattern of the day. You can do like
Mhm.
what is it, the 24 days of Christmas? And
Yeah.
do 24, if you have 24 patterns, put them out there. People love to see your patterns again, especially because some of your older patterns, your newer audience hasn't seen them. And Instagram is trying out this whole like keyword content push like TikTok does, where they focus on content rather than on who your followers already are. So they're trying this whole thing this last half of the maybe the entire year really, but they're trying that. So now is a great time to get those patterns out and talk. And like Andy said, tell the story behind the pattern. Don't just be like, here's my follow the stars pattern. It's beautiful. Yay. Which of
Mm.
course it is. I might be biased, but it is beautiful. But what I would do is say I was inspired, like I would say I would start with a hook first off and catch
Mhm.
their attention. So a hook could be on that one, like, you'll never guess when I wrote this pattern. I was stuck on the couch next to my debilitated husband who was recovering from back surgery. 100% true story.
Mhm.
I was inspired to write not only this star pattern, but 5 others because all we did was watch Star Wars for 2 months. And I realized at the end of writing this pattern, that I took inspiration from Star Wars, and you can see that in XYZ, so I could kind
Mhm,
of put that. And then this and you can also do the same pattern. I can talk about how it's an amazing baby gift. So if you have a little one, so I can start off with a
mhm,
question as a hook, like, "Do you have a baby being born in December? I have the quilt for you." This is
mhm,
gonna be I finished that quilt in a weekend, so I like to put that in my marketing. I'm like, "Hey, I
mhm,
finished this quilt in a weekend. You can too." So, like,
mhm,
finding different ways where you can tell the story a couple different ways and how they can use that pattern can also be great. And then doing that 24 days of Christmas, you're like, every story, every quilt has a story, whether it's even you sat down to design this quilt because you needed to use a charm pack.
mhm,
Because maybe, I don't know, Island Boutique sent you a charm pack and you're like, I don't know how to use this. Let me figure this out. Oh, I came up with this quilt because they sent me this. Like, even there's a story behind your own struggle, your own frustration, your own like a love of the fabric, or well, I wouldn't do disdain, honestly. It's probably a
mhm,
bad look, but maybe a struggle with how do I include the brown? Like, I got the greens. I know exactly where I wanna put the greens, but there's this brown, and that was a struggle, and this is what I came up with. What do
mhm,
you think? By the way, this pattern is on sale, link in my bio,
mhm,
and get them moving, and that helps just kind of, you know, build out your social, build out your blogs, and it helps prep the sale. It helps prep not only that, but also your sales in the new year because they'll might be eyeing it. They might be like, "Ooh, okay, I'm gonna get me that after, Christmas." And then after Christmas, you can even send a follow-up and be like, "Hey, did you not get what you wanted in
mhm,
your stocking this year? Maybe check out what we still have on sale because it's still there if you would like to grab one until January 1st," or something like that. So you can even follow up and keep it going a little bit longer and kind of appeal to um get something for you because
mhm.
I feel like as women, we kinda need that sometimes. So I don't I hope nobody hears this and is like, "Ugh, that's another email I have to send." But it's so kind to just remind other moms, grandmas, women in your life that they need something for them too. And I think taking it that approach can also kind of extend your sale and help your business and help your customers. It's all kind of together in that
Yeah.
way. Sorry, I kinda went on a tangent.
No, that's I think that's one of the themes of this, episode is, you follow your tangents and sometimes you end up a little ways away than you intended, but, wonderful discoveries along the way, so
Well, I think also that both of us are in this, reflective time. Because naturally, we kind of do take this time to start reflecting, even though our business brain and all the advice that we're giving is like, you need to be doing action, not reflecting. But we are in a reflective time. And on that note, if your sale doesn't go the way that you want, we want to kind of speak to the roller coaster of the quilting industry. So, Andy, I want to go ahead and open up that opportunity for you to kind of chime in with that. And then I'll be happy to follow up with anything
Mhm.
else to add.
Yeah, we've said, spend the time reflecting, and sometimes that news is not great. You had a launch or an offer that just fell flat, minimal sales, crickets, we've all heard the terms. And so a couple things. Protect your mindset, protect your emotional self that, if you can't deal with that bad news, if it happens to be, take some time away and, come back when you're feeling stronger. We all get hit by the various winds of life that can throw us off course, and the best advice, I guess, is to just keep going. It's always too soon to give up. So, put your big girl panties on and live to fight another day, I guess, is because lots of silly analogies there. Um,
Yeah.
but and it does help to have a sympathetic ear. So, Tori, I've said before, you're my quilting bestie, my business accountability partner. I always know I can come to you for both the sympathy factor that, oh, yeah, man, that sucks. This is tough. And then also the kick in the pants. Like, come on, Andy, you're not doing what you know you need to do to make this a success. So let's try again and do it better next time. So,
Definitely. So I was holding
when
on to
things,
my thought so that I didn't forget it.
yeah, yeah. So when sales don't go so well, how you recover?
Yeah. I did wanna touch on, because 'cause you're totally right. When you're ready to sit down and look at those analytics and how your sales went and really take some time to think about it, you do wanna be in a strong
Mhm,
mindset, right? And then in a time where it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna set my emotions to the side. I'm gonna think about this more logically." I did want to let our listeners know that the quilting industry does tend to have trends. And we do, as an industry, have the same experience with these trends. Now, there are a few people who will hear what I'm about to say and be like, that's not me. And that's okay. You may be the outlier, because there are people out there who can run an amazing sale during these slower times and they can do great because they know their audience, they know what's going to sell, or maybe they got lucky and there's just an amazing product they've had that blew up. So those are going to be more of the outliers. And I mean, it could be like 15%
mhm.
wonderful even during these times. And then, 75% of us are just like, where's the business? So these key times, and you can agree or disagree,
Mhm,
depends on, I would love to hear your experience, but I definitely see a huge lull in the summer. And I know we mentioned that before. So if you are trying to run sales, if you're listening to this in May and you're like, I'm not getting any sales, well, that's typical
mhm.
between, and I will say May is kind of touch and go. It could be good in May, it could not be. June through, I wanna say definitely June or July, there's definitely a huge lull in the quilting industry. No one's really buying, no one's really creating. They're all out in the sun having fun or just laying on their cold tile trying to cool off. Like, they're not actively quilting right now, and they're not actively shopping. They spend a lot more time off social media, and they're not stuck inside, which with quilting, we tend to be more stuck inside. So this is where, like, the short projects are good, the hand quilting because they can travel everywhere, that kinda stuff. So there's a definite lull in, like, June and July, and then there's another lull in December where people are finishing projects. They're not really starting any. Like Andy said, there are some little ones that are
Mhm.
probably really great to, like, get your last minute Christmas gift done this weekend with me. Like that could be really fun. But there are, for the most part, a drop in business during December for the quilting industry. And then it picks back up December through about March or April.
Mhm.
And then May, like I said, maybe. And then June and July, no business or
Yeah,
very little. And like
yeah.
I said, if you do have successful sales in like July with Christmas in July, that might be a great one to kind of pick it up a little bit. But typically, those in the quilting industry, especially if it's your first or second year, you will not see any business between June and July, and even December because of the way the quilting industry works. So, Andy, go ahead.
I'm thinking as you're talking about that because I totally agree with those, downturn times, the seasonal, uh, and the thread running through that is that when we have those, like, family times that pull us away from quilting, holidays in December, school end of school, summer vacation type stuff in June and July. So those things are gonna pull us out of our quilting room. But I also think that some of that depends on which part of the quilting industry you're in, because obviously quilting is a big umbrella and we've got long armors. Okay. Well, November, December might be busy because people are planning to give those quilts as gifts and you have a big push to help them get those gifts ready. Um, Pattern design, we've talked about there, if you have stuff ready to put on sale in December, that's great, but, that may take a little more, planning and a longer ramp to get that, sale season running, but if it is established, you may have great success there for those, Advent, countdown projects that we talked about, the 24 days of Christmas. So, yeah, I think there is definitely a roller coaster, and the longer you're in the industry, the more time you take studying those numbers, those trends will be more evident. And so we're just, I guess, encouraging you to make data driven decisions and so you need to spend the time reflecting and then do that planning so that you can take advantage, put the effort in when the sales are high, and that can carry you through some of these low times, and putting some systems in place, as you mentioned, things on your website that will make it easier for things to run in the background while you're offline enjoying the season.
I think that's excellent advice. And I'd love to put a plug in there. I do free 30-minute sessions. So if you need someone to help you through a simple plan, I am here free 30 minutes. We can get together and plan that out for you. And this is Tori, if you
Yes.
only listen. This is
Yes,
Tori.
Tori's the great business coach, and her strategy sessions are amazing, so definitely take her up on that offer.
Thank you, Andy. So we hope you found this episode practical and actionable, and it helps you feel less alone if you're having a lull in sales during this time and not expecting it. I did have a few clients tell me that, like, they're like, "Where is the?" It's like, okay, it's okay, it's normal, it's okay. That's a wrap on today's conversation. We hope it gave you something real to take back to your business.
And if you liked this episode, please hit subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more quilters find the show and feel a little less alone on their entrepreneurial journey.
And if you want more support, from behind the scenes content to live chats, you'll find more in our Quilting on the Side community on Patreon. And as always, don't forget to do
A little
quilting
quilting on the side.
side.